Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, looking down at the green and blue planet below. New Terra sparkled in the morning light like a jewel floating in space. 3 years ago, this world had been empty. Now it was home to 50,000 humans who had traveled from Earth to start a new life among the stars. Sarah smiled as she watched the transport ships moving between the planet's surface and the station. Each ship carried families, supplies, and dreams. The colony was growing stronger every day. Children who had been born on Earth were now learning to walk on alien soil. Farmers were growing Earth crops in New Terra's rich dirt. Engineers were building cities that mixed human technology with materials they had found on this new world. The communication panel beeped softly. Sarah turned to see the face of Dr. James Morrison, the colony's chief scientist, appearing on the screen. His gray beard was messy, which meant he had been working all night again. "Good morning, Commander," James said. "I have the monthly reports ready for your review." "How are we doing, James?" Sarah asked, moving closer to the screen. "Better than we hoped," James replied with a tired smile. "The new hybrid power systems are working perfectly. We're producing 30% more energy than Earth Command predicted. The medical bay has successfully treated 15 cases of Terran fever using local plant extracts. And the children's test scores show they're adapting to the lower gravity better than their parents." Sarah nodded. The success of New Terra was important for more than just the 50,000 people living there. Earth was watching. If this colony failed, it might be decades before humans tried to settle another world. If it succeeded, it would open the door for hundreds of new colonies across the galaxy. "What about our neighbors?" Sarah asked. James's expression became more serious. "The Hegemony Council still considers us a minor species, but they've been helpful. The Altarian traders brought us rare metals last week. The Keth engineers shared their water purification designs. And the Vorthan ambassadors invited us to attend the next sector conference." Sarah had met representatives from all 7 species that made up the Hegemony Council. They were advanced civilizations that had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. To them, humans were like children who had just learned to walk. They were polite but protective, treating humanity with the kind of patience adults showed to young students. "Any word from the Zephyrians?" Sarah asked. James shook his head. "They still refuse to meet with us directly. Their message to the Council was the same as always. The newcomers require observation before integration. I think they're just being careful." The Zephyrian Dominion was the largest military force in the hegemony. They controlled the defense of this entire sector of space. Sarah had requested meetings with their leaders several times, but they always sent polite refusals. She understood their position. Every species in the galaxy had to prove itself worthy of full membership in the galactic community. "Commander," came another voice from behind her. Sarah turned to see Lieutenant Marcus Webb approaching. He was young, barely 25, but he had sharp eyes and quick reflexes. He served as her chief security officer. "What is it, Marcus?" Sarah asked. "We're getting some strange readings from the edge of the system," Marcus said, holding up a data pad. "Long-range sensors are picking up energy signatures that don't match any known ship designs." Sarah took the pad and studied the readings. The energy patterns were unusual, but space was full of unusual things. "Could be a solar storm," she said. "Or maybe cosmic radiation from the nearby nebula." "That's what I thought too," Marcus replied. "But the patterns are too regular, almost like they're artificial." "How long have you been tracking these readings?" Sarah asked. "About 6 hours. They appear for a few minutes, then disappear, then come back in a different location." Sarah handed the pad back to Marcus. "Keep monitoring the situation. If the readings get stronger or move closer to New Terra, let me know immediately." Marcus nodded and walked away. Sarah turned back to the window. Far below, she could see the lights of New Geneva, the colony's capital city. Her husband David was down there working in the medical center. Their daughter Emma was in school, probably learning about Earth history or practicing her music. The thought of her family made Sarah's chest warm with happiness. David had given up his career as a surgeon on Earth to come with her to New Terra. Emma had been only 7 years old when they left Earth, but she had adapted to their new world with the amazing flexibility that children possessed. Now 10 years old, Emma spoke basic Altarian and could identify 17 different types of local plants. "Commander, Chen to the bridge," came an announcement over the station's communication system. Sarah made her way to the central command center of the orbital station. The bridge was a circular room filled with screens, control panels, and the soft hum of computers. Officers from different departments worked at their stations, monitoring everything from weather patterns on the planet's surface to the movement of ships in nearby space. Captain Rodriguez, the station commander, met Sarah at the main control console. "We just received a priority message from Earth Command," he said. "What's the news from home?" Sarah asked. Rodriguez activated the main screen. The face of Admiral Harrison appeared, speaking from his office on Earth. The message had taken 4 days to reach them, traveling through the quantum communication relay network that connected human colonies to Earth. "Commander Chen," Admiral Harrison said in his recorded message, "congratulations on the continued success of New Terra. Earth Command is impressed with your colony's progress. We're accelerating plans for the next wave of colonization ships. If New Terra can maintain its current growth rate, we'll be sending another 100,000 settlers within 5 years." Sarah felt a surge of pride. New Terra wasn't just surviving, it was becoming a model for future human expansion into space. "However," Admiral Harrison continued, "we want you to be aware of some concerning intelligence reports. Our diplomatic contacts suggest that not all members of the Hegemony Council support rapid human expansion. Some species view our growth rate as potentially threatening. Continue to maintain positive relations with all Hegemony members, but be prepared for political challenges ahead." The message ended. Sarah stared at the blank screen, thinking about the Admiral's words. Humans reproduced faster than most alien species. They also adapted to new environments more quickly than expected. She could understand why some aliens might find that concerning. "Commander," Lieutenant Webb's voice came through her personal communicator. "Those energy readings are getting stronger, and they're moving closer to New Terra." Sarah touched her communicator. "I'm on my way." As she walked back toward the sensor station, Sarah felt a small chill of worry. The galaxy was vast and mostly peaceful, but it was also full of unknown dangers. Her job was to protect the 50,000 people who had trusted her to lead them to a new home among the stars. She had no way of knowing that in less than 12 hours, that job would become the greatest challenge of her life. The strange energy readings at the edge of the system were not cosmic radiation or solar storms. They were the signatures of Zephyrian warships preparing for an attack that would change everything humans thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. For now, though New Terra continued its peaceful rotation around its star, and 50,000 humans went about their daily lives, unaware that their protected status in the galactic community was about to be tested in the most terrible way possible. Sarah woke up to the sound of alarms screaming through the orbital station. Red emergency lights flashed in her quarters as she jumped out of bed and grabbed her uniform. The time display showed 347 hours. Something was very wrong. "All senior staff to the bridge immediately." Captain Rodriguez's voice echoed through the station's communication system. "This is not a drill." Sarah ran through the corridors, her heart pounding. Other officers were rushing toward the bridge from different directions. Their faces showed the same confusion and fear that Sarah felt. The emergency alarms only activated for the most serious threats. On the bridge, chaos filled the air. Officers shouted reports while screens displayed data that made no sense. Sarah found Captain Rodriguez standing at the main tactical display, his face pale with shock. "Report," Sarah ordered. 15 Zephyrian warships just appeared at the edge of our system, Rodriguez said. They came out of hyperspace without any warning or communication. Sarah stared at the tactical screen. 15 red dots moved toward New Terra like predators approaching their prey. "Have they responded to our hail attempts?" "No, Commander. We've been broadcasting on all frequencies for the past 10 minutes. They're ignoring us completely." Lieutenant Webb appeared at Sarah's side holding a data pad with shaking hands. "Commander, those energy readings we detected yesterday, they match the Zephyrian ship signatures perfectly. They've been watching us for at least 24 hours. A cold feeling spread through Sarah's stomach. The Zephyrians had been planning this. Whatever was happening, it wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. "How long until they reach New Terra?" Sarah asked. "At their current speed, 47 minutes, the navigation officer reported. Sarah opened a communication channel to the planet's surface. "New Geneva Control, this is Commander Chen. Activate Emergency Protocol 7 immediately." The voice of Colonel Patricia Hayes, the planet's military commander, came through the speakers. "Emergency Protocol 7 confirmed, Commander. We're beginning evacuation of all non-essential personnel from the major cities." Sarah watched the tactical display, as the Zephyrian ships continued their approach. Their formation was perfect, like a military exercise. These weren't explorers or diplomats. These were warships preparing for battle. "Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Zephyrian vessel." "Put it on the main screen," Sarah ordered. The bridge fell silent as the image of a Zephyrian commander appeared on the screen. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall with gray skin and 6 arms. Its eyes were completely black, showing no emotion. When it spoke, its voice was cold and mechanical. "Human colony designation Nutera," the Zephyrian said.
"By order of the Zephyrian Dominion, you are classified as a galactic threat.
"Your species reproduces too quickly and consumes resources without restraint. You are a virus that will destroy all life if allowed to spread." Sarah stepped forward. "I am Commander Sarah Chen, leader of this colony. We are a peaceful settlement protected under hegemony law. We demand to know the meaning of this illegal approach to our system." The Zephyrian commander's expression didn't change. "Your protection has been revoked. The Hegemony Council has been informed of our decision. You have 30 minutes to evacuate your orbital installations before we begin cleansing operations." "Cleansing operations?" Sarah's voice rose with anger and disbelief. "What are you talking about?" "The removal of the human infection from this world," the Zephyrian replied. "Your colony will be destroyed. Your people will be eliminated. This sector will be purified." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Sarah felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. These aliens were talking about murdering 50,000 innocent people, families, children, her own daughter. "Get me a line to Emma's school," Sarah said quickly, "and connect me to David at the medical center." The communications officer worked frantically at his console. "I have your husband on line 3, Commander." David's face appeared on a smaller screen. Behind him, Sarah could see the chaos of the medical center as doctors and nurses prepared for evacuation. "Sarah, what's happening up there?" "We're getting reports of alien warships." "David, listen to me carefully," Sarah said, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Take Emma and get to evacuation point Delta right now. Don't stop for anything. Don't pack anything. Just get our daughter and run." "Sarah, you're scaring me," David said. "What aren't you telling me?" "The Zephyrians are going to attack the colony. We have maybe 20 minutes before they start shooting. Please, David, take Emma and get to safety." David's face went white. "I'll get her right now, Sarah." "What about you?" "I'll be fine," Sarah lied. "Just take care of our daughter." The connection ended. Sarah turned back to the tactical display. The Zephyrian ships were getting closer. In 18 minutes, they would be in weapons range of Nutera. "All ships, this is Commander Chen," Sarah broadcast to the small human fleet in the system. "Move to defensive positions around Nutera. Prepare for combat." Captain Rodriguez looked at her with concern. "Commander, we have 3 patrol ships in this orbital station. They have 15 warships. We can't win this fight." "We don't have to win," Sarah replied. "We just have to buy time for the evacuation ships to get our people away from the planet." The next few minutes passed like hours. Sarah watched the evacuation reports coming in from the planet's surface. 30,000 people had reached the evacuation points. 20,000 were still trying to get there. The transport ships were working as fast as they could, but there wasn't enough time. "Commander," Lieutenant Webb reported, "the Zephyrian ships are in weapons range. They're charging their energy cannons." Sarah opened a channel to all human vessels. "This is Commander Chen. We are about to engage a superior enemy force. Our job is to protect the innocent people below us. Every minute we buy saves more lives. Fight hard, fight smart, and make them pay for every shot they take." The Zephyrian ships opened fire without warning. Bright beams of energy lanced through space toward Nutera. Sarah watched in horror as the first shot struck the planet's surface. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers across the continents below. They weren't targeting military installations. They were hitting cities, schools, hospitals. The medical center where David worked disappeared in a ball of fire. Emma's school vanished in a flash of light. "No," Sarah whispered, then screamed, "No!" The orbital station shook as Zephyrian weapons found their target. Sparks flew from control panels as the lights flickered. The artificial gravity fluctuated, making everyone grab onto their stations for support. "Return fire," Sarah ordered. "All weapons, engage the enemy." The human ships fought back with everything they had. Their weapons were smaller and less powerful than the Zephyrian guns, but they were fast and maneuverable. Sarah watched as one of her patrol ships managed to damage a Zephyrian cruiser before being destroyed by concentrated fire. Another wave of energy beams struck New Terra. More cities died. More families were erased from existence. Sarah could see the evacuation ships trying to escape the planet's gravity well, but some of them were being targeted by the Zephyrian fleet. "Commander," the communications officer said with tears in his eyes, "I'm getting casualty reports from the surface. 15,000 confirmed dead, another 10,000 missing." Sarah felt something break inside her chest. These weren't numbers on a report. These were people she knew. Families she had helped settle on New Terra. Children she had watched grow up. Her own family was gone. David and Emma had been at the medical center and the school when the Zephyrians attacked. The buildings were now craters in the ground. "All remaining ships fall back to the evacuation zone," Sarah ordered. Her voice sounded strange and distant even to herself. "Cover the transport ships." The battle continued for 2 more hours. By the time it ended, 35,000 humans had escaped New Terra in the evacuation ships. 15,000 were dead. The Zephyrian fleet had lost only 2 ships. Sarah stood on the bridge of the damaged orbital station, looking down at her former home. New Terra was burning. The cities were ruins. The farms were craters. 3 years of human dreams and effort had been destroyed in a single morning. The Zephyrian commander appeared on the screen one final time. "The cleansing is complete. This system is now purified. Do not return humans. This is what happens to viruses that spread too far." As the alien warships jumped back into hyperspace, Sarah made a promise to herself and to the 15,000 people who had died that day. The Zephyrians thought they had ended the human threat. They had no idea what they had just started. Humanity had come to the stars in peace. Now they would learn to bring war. 2 weeks after the attack on New Terra, Sarah stood in the command center of the refugee ship Aurora. Around her, 35,000 survivors lived in cramped quarters designed for half that number. The ship smelled of too many people in too small a space, but no one complained. They were alive, and that was more than 15,000 others could say. Sarah hadn't slept properly since the attack. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the medical center exploding. She saw Emma's school disappearing in a flash of light. She heard David's voice asking what he wasn't being told. The guilt ate at her like acid. "Commander," Lieutenant Webb approached with a communication pad. "We just received a priority message from Earth Command." Sarah took the pad and read the message. Her hands shook with anger as she reached the end. "They're offering us condolences," she said, her voice flat and cold. "Earth Command regrets the loss of New Terra and promises a full investigation into the diplomatic breakdown that led to the attack." "Diplomatic breakdown?" Webb asked. "Commander, there was no diplomacy. They just showed up and started killing people." According to this message, the Hegemony Council has expressed deep regret over the incident. They claim the Zephyrian action was unauthorized and taken without Council approval. They're offering to provide temporary shelter for our survivors on Council worlds. Sarah crushed the communication pad in her hands. The plastic cracked and the screen went dark. "They think they can murder 15,000 humans and then make it better with sorry and shelter." The door to the command center opened, and Captain Marcus Webb entered. Sarah had promoted him after Captain Rodriguez died during the evacuation. He was young for the position, but he had shown courage during the battle and calm thinking during the crisis that followed. "Commander, we have a visitor," Marcus said. "Someone you need to meet." "I'm not interested in meeting anyone right now," Sarah replied. "This person came from Earth specifically to see you. He says he has information about fighting the Zephyrians." Something in Marcus's tone made Sarah look up. The young captain's eyes held a mixture of excitement and worry. "Who is this person?" "Admiral Harrison sent him. His name is Dr. Victor Kane, and he works for something called Special Projects Division." Sarah had never heard of Special Projects Division, but Admiral Harrison was the head of Earth Command. If he had sent someone to meet with her personally, it had to be important. "Send him in," Sarah said. Dr. Kane was a thin man in his 50s with gray hair and intelligent eyes. He wore a simple black uniform with no rank insignia. When he entered the command center, he looked around carefully before speaking. "Commander Chen, I'm sorry for your loss," Kane said. "I lost my own family in the Luna colony disaster 12 years ago. I know what it feels like to watch the people you love die while you survive. Sarah studied the man's face. His sympathy seemed genuine, not the fake politeness she had received from the Hegemony Council. "What do you want, Dr. Kane?" "I want to give you the tools to make the Zephyrians pay for what they did," Kane replied. "But first, I need to show you something that officially doesn't exist." Kane activated a small holographic projector. The image of a massive starship appeared in the air between them. It was unlike any human vessel Sarah had ever seen. The ship was angular and aggressive, covered with weapon arrays and armor plating. "This is the UES Retribution," Kane said, one of 12 ships built under Project Lazarus. Each one is designed specifically to fight and kill alien warships. Sarah stared at the hologram. Earth Command told us that humans had no military starships. We were assured that all human vessels were designed for exploration and colonization. That was a lie, Kane said simply. After first contact with the Hegemony, some people in Earth Command became worried. The aliens were friendly, but they were also much more advanced than us. What would happen if they decided humans were a threat? What would happen if someone like the Zephyrians decided to eliminate us? "So you built warships in secret," Marcus said. Kane nodded. 12 ships hidden in facilities throughout the solar system. Each one incorporates technology that the aliens don't expect humans to possess. Quantum cores for power, gravitational manipulators for weapons, stealth systems that can hide us from their sensors. "Why are you telling me this?" Sarah asked. "Because Earth Command has authorized you to take command of the Retribution," Kane replied. "Your experience with alien technology, your knowledge of Zephyrian tactics, and your motivation make you the perfect person to lead our response to the new Terra attack." Sarah felt something stir in her chest. For the first time since the attack, she felt hope. Not hope for peace or safety, but hope for revenge. "What would my mission be?" Kane's expression became grim. "The Zephyrians have 6 major military bases in this sector of space. Your job would be to destroy all of them. Make it clear to the galaxy that attacking humans has consequences. The Hegemony Council won't allow open warfare in their space," Marcus pointed out. "The Hegemony Council allowed the Zephyrians to murder 15,000 innocent civilians," Kane replied. "Their rules didn't protect your people. Why should their rules protect the Zephyrians?" Sarah thought about David and Emma. She thought about the children who had been learning to walk on New Terra soil. She thought about the farmers who had been growing earth crops in alien dirt. All of them were dead because the Zephyrians saw humans as a virus to be eliminated. "What about the survivors?" Sarah asked, gesturing toward the refugees around them. "They'll be taken to safe worlds in human space," Kane said. "Earth Command is establishing new colonies with much better defenses. Your people will have good homes and protection." "And the Retribution? What kind of crew does she have?" Kane smiled for the first time since entering the room. "The best Earth Command could find. Veterans from the Earth Defense Force, engineers who helped design the ship, people who volunteered specifically to fight aliens. And they're all waiting for their captain." Sarah closed her eyes and saw David's face one more time. She heard Emma laughing as she played in New Terra's lower gravity. She remembered the sound of her daughter practicing piano in their small apartment on the orbital station. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer the peaceful colony administrator who had tried to build bridges between humans and aliens. She was something harder and more dangerous. "Dr. Kane," Sarah said, "I accept command of the Retribution. When do we leave?" "Right now," Kane replied. "There's a stealth transport waiting to take you to the shipyard. The Retribution can be ready for action in 72 hours. Sarah turned to Marcus. "Captain Webb, you're in command of the Aurora until the refugees reach their new homes. Take care of our people." "Commander," Marcus said, "I request permission to join the crew of the Retribution." Sarah looked at the young officer. He had lost friends and colleagues in the attack on New Terra. His eyes held the same cold anger that Sarah felt burning in her own chest. "Granted," Sarah said. "We'll need good people for what comes next." As they prepared to leave the Aurora, Sarah made one final walk through the refugee quarters. She saw families crowded into spaces meant for single people. She saw children who cried for parents who would never come home. She saw men and women staring at nothing, their minds still trying to process the loss of everything they had built. These people had trusted her to lead them to a new life among the stars. She had failed them, but she wouldn't fail them again. The Zephyrians had declared war on humanity by attacking innocent civilians. Now they would learn what war really meant. Sarah had been trained as a colony administrator and diplomat. But humans were adaptable. They learned quickly. They could become whatever the situation required them to become. The situation now required her to become something the galaxy had never seen before. A human commander leading human warriors in a war of vengeance against an alien enemy that had made the mistake of attacking her home. The Zephyrians thought they had eliminated a virus. Instead, they had created something much more dangerous. They had created an enemy who understood exactly what they had lost and exactly what needed to be done to make things right. Sarah Chen was going to war. Sarah stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars through the main viewport. 3 months had passed since she first saw this ship in Dr. Kane's holographic display. Now she knew every deck, every weapon system, every crew member aboard the most advanced warship humanity had ever built. The Retribution was a monster disguised as a ship, 200 meters of angular metal and advanced technology, powered by quantum cores that produced more energy than most space stations. Her weapons could crack planets. Her armor could withstand direct hits from Zephyrian battle cruisers. Her crew of 300 humans had trained for 2 years to fight aliens who thought they were superior to humanity. "Commander," Lieutenant Sarah Kim called from the tactical station. "We're approaching the Zephyrian supply depot at Kepler Station. Long-range sensors show 12 ships docked at the facility." Sarah studied the tactical display. Kepler Station was the first target on her list. It supplied weapons and equipment to Zephyrian forces throughout this sector of space. Destroying it would force them to bring supplies from much farther away, weakening their ability to project military power. "Any sign that they've detected us?" Sarah asked. "Negative, Commander. The stealth systems are working perfectly. We're invisible to their sensors." Captain Marcus Webb approached from the navigation station. Sarah had been glad when he chose to serve as her executive officer. He understood what the Zephyrians had done to New Terra, and he shared her determination to make them pay. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command," Marcus said quietly. "Admiral Harrison wants to speak with you privately." Sarah frowned. Earth Command hadn't contacted her in 6 weeks, not since she had ignored their orders to limit her attacks to minor targets only. She had already destroyed 2 Zephyrian outposts and captured 3 supply convoys. The aliens were starting to take notice of the human threat. "Put the Admiral through to my ready room," Sarah said. "Lieutenant Kim, you have the bridge." In her private office behind the bridge, Sarah activated the communication system. Admiral Harrison's face appeared on the screen, looking older and more tired than she remembered. "Commander Chen," the Admiral said, "I need you to return to Earth immediately." "Sir?" Sarah kept her voice neutral, but inside she felt anger building. "The Hegemony Council has filed formal complaints about your actions. They're calling your attacks on Zephyrian forces piracy and terrorism. They're threatening to declare humans an enemy species if these attacks continue." Sarah stared at the Admiral for a long moment. "Sir, the Zephyrians murdered 15,000 innocent civilians. They destroyed our colony without provocation. They called us a virus that needed to be eliminated. I understand your anger, Commander. We all do. But you're starting a war that humanity cannot win. The Hegemony has thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. If they unite against us, they could wipe out every human colony in space." "The Hegemony didn't protect us when the Zephyrians attacked," Sarah replied. "They offered condolences and empty promises. Why should we trust them to protect us now?" Admiral Harrison's expression became pleading. "Sarah, you're a good officer and a good person. I know you're hurting. I know you want justice for what happened to your family. But this isn't the way." Sarah felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. "Sir, with respect, my family is dead because we tried to do things the peaceful way. The diplomatic way. The way that trusts aliens to keep their promises. Commander, I'm ordering you to stand down and return to Earth for debriefing." "Sir, I respectfully decline." The Admiral's face showed surprise and concern. "Commander, you're disobeying a direct order from Earth Command." "Yes, sir, I am. Earth Command sent me out here to destroy Zephyrian military assets. That's exactly what I'm doing. If the politicians want to negotiate with aliens who murder children, they can do it without me." Sarah ended the transmission before Admiral Harrison could respond. She sat in her chair for a moment, thinking about what she had just done. She had essentially declared independence from Earth Command. She was now fighting this war on her own authority. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. "Come in," she called. Dr. Kane entered the ready room. The older man had stayed aboard the Retribution as a technical advisor, helping Sarah understand the ship's advanced systems. "I heard about your conversation with the Admiral," Kane said. "Are you going to try to talk me out of continuing the mission?" Sarah asked. Kane smiled grimly. "Commander, I helped design this ship specifically to kill aliens who threaten humanity. I didn't spend 3 years of my life building the most advanced warship in human history, just to have it sit in dock while politicians make speeches." Sarah felt a moment of relief. She wasn't completely alone in this fight. "Besides," Kane continued, "there are others in Earth Command who agree with your approach. People who think humanity needs to show strength, not weakness, when dealing with alien threats." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that your fuel supplies and ammunition will continue to be mysteriously available at hidden supply points throughout this sector. I'm saying that intelligence about Zephyrian movements will continue to reach your ship through unofficial channels. I'm saying that you have more support than you think," Sarah nodded. "Good, because I'm about to hit the Zephyrians harder than they've ever been hit before." She returned to the bridge where her crew was preparing for the attack on Kepler Station. These 300 humans had volunteered to follow her into battle against an alien enemy that outnumbered them thousands to one. They believed in the mission. They believed in her. "Lieutenant Kim, status report," Sarah ordered. "All weapons charged and ready, Commander. The Zephyrian ships at the station are a mix of cruisers and supply vessels. No dreadnoughts or heavy battleships. Excellent. Today we're going to show the galaxy what happens when you attack a human's home." Sarah opened a communication channel to the entire ship. "All hands, this is the commander. In 5 minutes we will decloak and engage the enemy. The Zephyrians at Kepler Station supply the weapons used to murder our families and friends. They are part of the machine that killed 15,000 innocent people on New Terra." She paused, looking around at the faces of her bridge crew. All of them showed the same determination she felt burning in her own heart. "Today we send a message to every alien in this galaxy. Humans are not victims. We are not a virus to be eliminated. We are apex predators, and we have just learned to hunt. When we finish here, every Zephyrian in space will know that attacking humanity has consequences." The Retribution dropped its stealth field and appeared in normal space like a nightmare materializing from the darkness. Sarah watched the tactical display as Zephyrian ships scrambled to respond to the sudden threat. "All weapons, open fire," Sarah commanded. The Retribution's main guns spoke with voices of thunder. Beams of concentrated energy and streams of guided missiles reached across space to find their targets. The first Zephyrian cruiser exploded before its crew could even activate their shields. For the next 40 minutes, Sarah and her crew demonstrated why humans had become the dominant predators on their homeworld. They used tactics the Zephyrians had never seen. They took risks that no sane species would consider. They fought with a creativity and viciousness that shocked their enemies. When the battle ended, Kepler Station was a cloud of wreckage floating in space. 12 Zephyrian ships had been destroyed. Not a single human had been killed. Sarah stood on her bridge, looking at the destruction they had caused. Somewhere in that wreckage were the weapons that would have been used to kill more humans. Somewhere in that debris were the supplies that would have supported more attacks on human colonies. "Commander," Marcus said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian High Command. They want to talk." Sarah smiled coldly. "Put them through." The image of a Zephyrian admiral appeared on the main screen. This alien looked different from the commander who had destroyed New Terra. This one showed fear in its black eyes. "Human vessel," the alien said. "You have committed acts of war against the Zephyrian Dominion. We demand that you surrender immediately." Sarah stepped forward so the alien could see her clearly. "I am Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Retribution. You attacked our home. You killed our children. You called us a virus that needed to be eliminated." She let her voice fill with all the anger and pain she had carried since New Terra burned. "Now you know what we really are. We are the species that survived ice ages and plague and war to become the masters of our world. We are the species that reaches for the stars when others told us it was impossible. We are the species that learns, adapts, and never, ever forgives." The Zephyrian admiral's expression showed something Sarah had never seen in an alien face before. Genuine terror. "This is just the beginning," Sarah continued. "Before I'm finished, every Zephyrian base in this sector will be burning wreckage. Every Zephyrian ship will flee at the sight of human vessels. You wanted to eliminate a virus? Instead, you created an apex predator, and now that predator is hunting you. 1 year after the destruction of New Terra, Sarah stood in the ruins of the Zephyrian military headquarters on Nexus Prime. Around her, the massive alien fortress burned. The air smelled of smoke and melted metal. The sound of human boots echoed through corridors that had once housed the commanders who ordered the death of 15,000 innocents. The battle for Nexus Prime had taken 3 days. The Zephyrians had thrown everything they had at the human fleet: 60 warships, orbital defense platforms, and ground-based missile arrays. It hadn't been enough. Sarah's growing fleet of human vessels had torn through their defenses like a knife through paper. The Retribution now led 7 other human warships. Earth Command had officially disavowed Sarah's actions, but ships and crews kept finding their way to her fleet. Human military officers who were tired of diplomatic failures, engineers who wanted to see their weapons used against the aliens who threatened their species, soldiers who had lost friends and family to alien attacks. "Commander?" Marcus approached through the smoke. His uniform was torn and dirty from the ground assault, but his eyes showed satisfaction. "We've secured the command center. The Zephyrian leadership is requesting terms for surrender." Sarah looked around at the destruction they had caused. 12 months ago, she had been a colony administrator, trying to build peaceful relationships with alien species. Now she was the most feared human in the galaxy, commanding a fleet that had shattered the strongest military force in this sector of space. "What are their terms?" Sarah asked. "Complete withdrawal from all systems within 50 light-years of human space, reparations for the New Terra attack, and a formal apology to the families of the dead." Sarah laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "They think they can murder 15,000 people and then make it right with money and sorry words." "What are your orders, Commander?" Sarah walked to the main command console, where a Zephyrian admiral waited under guard. The alien's gray skin had turned pale with fear. Its 6 arms were shackled, and its black eyes showed the kind of terror that came from watching everything you believed in crumble around you. "Admiral Kresh," Sarah said, reading the nameplate on the alien's uniform. "You were the one who authorized the attack on New Terra." The Zephyrian's voice shook when it spoke. "The attack was justified under Dominion law. Your species was classified as a threat to galactic stability." Sarah stepped closer to the alien commander. "Tell me, Admiral, do you have a family?" Yes, a mate and 3 offspring." "Where are they now?" The Zephyrian's eyes showed confusion. "On the homeworld. Safe in the capital city." Sarah nodded slowly. "My husband was a doctor. He spent his life saving people, healing the sick, making the universe a better place. My daughter was 10 years old. She loved music and wanted to be a teacher when she grew up." The alien remained silent. "You killed them both," Sarah continued. "You killed them along with 15,000 other innocent people because you were afraid of what humans might become. Well, Admiral, look around you. See what we became." Sarah activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the Zephyrian Dominion. Red markers indicated destroyed bases, captured territories, and defeated fleets. In 1 year, Sarah's campaign had reduced the most powerful military force in the sector to a broken shell of its former strength. "Your fleets are scattered," Sarah said. "Your bases are burning. Your allies have abandoned you. The Hegemony Council that once protected you now calls you a rogue state. You wanted to eliminate the human virus? Instead, you created human warriors." Admiral Kresh's voice was barely a whisper. "What do you want from us?" Sarah was quiet for a long moment, thinking about David and Emma, thinking about the 15,000 people who had died because aliens saw humans as inferior beings whose lives didn't matter, thinking about all the human colonies that would be safer now that the Zephyrians had learned fear. "I want the galaxy to remember what happened here," Sarah said finally. "I want every alien species to know that attacking human civilians has consequences. I want them to understand that we are not victims to be pitied or threats to be eliminated. We are equals who demand respect." She turned to Marcus. "Captain Webb, transmit the following message on all galactic frequencies." Marcus activated the communication array. Sarah stepped in front of the recording device, her face hard as stone. "I am Commander Sarah Chen of the Human Fleet. 1 year ago, the Zephyrian Dominion attacked our peaceful colony of New Terra without provocation. They murdered 15,000 innocent civilians, including children and medical personnel. They called us a virus that needed to be eliminated." Sarah paused, letting her words echo through space to every alien listening post in the galaxy. "Today, The Zephyrian Dominion no longer exists as a military power. Their fleets are destroyed. Their bases are captured. Their leadership is defeated. This is what happens when you attack our homes. This is what happens when you threaten our families. This is what happens when you mistake human mercy for human weakness. Behind her, the Zephyrian Command Center continued to burn. To the Hegemony Council and all alien species listening to this message, humanity came to the stars in peace. We offered friendship and cooperation. We accepted junior status in your galactic community. We followed your laws and respected your customs. In return, you allowed the murder of our people and offered us empty condolences. Sarah's voice became harder, filled with all the anger and pain she had carried for the past year. Those days are over. Humanity will no longer accept second-class status in this galaxy. We will no longer trust alien promises of protection. We will defend ourselves with our own strength and punish those who threaten us with our own justice. She gestured toward the ruins around her. The Zephyrians learned this lesson at the cost of their empire. Other species can learn it more peacefully by treating humans as equals from this day forward. The choice is yours. Sarah ended the transmission and turned back to Admiral Kresh. The alien was staring at her with something approaching awe. What happens to us now? The Zephyrian asked. You and your surviving forces will be relocated to a designated world where you can rebuild your society, under human supervision. Your military vessels will be scrapped. Your weapons will be destroyed. Your children will learn in school about the price of attacking innocent civilians. The alien's shoulders slumped in defeat. You are taking everything from us. No, Sarah said. I'm giving you the chance to live and rebuild. That's more mercy than you showed the families on New Terra. 6 months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of New Geneva Station, the largest human orbital facility in known space. Below her, the rebuilt world of New Terra sparkled with lights from a dozen cities. 200,000 humans now lived on the planet, protected by orbital defense platforms and a fleet of human warships. The survivors of the original colony had been given the choice of new homes throughout human space, or the opportunity to return and rebuild. Most had chosen to come back. New Terra was their home, bought with the blood of their families and friends. Marcus approached from behind carrying a communication pad. Commander, we just received a message from Earth Command. Admiral Harrison is requesting a meeting. Sarah smiled slightly. Earth Command had spent the past year trying to distance themselves from her actions, while quietly benefiting from the respect and fear that humans now commanded in galactic politics. The Hegemony Council had offered humanity full membership and equal status. Other alien species were requesting trade agreements and military alliances. What does the Admiral want? Sarah asked. He's offering you command of the new human defense fleet, official recognition of your rank and actions, full support from Earth Command for future operations. Sarah looked down at New Terra, thinking about the long journey from that terrible morning when the Zephyrians attacked to this moment of human triumph. The cost had been high. 15,000 people had died, and Sarah would carry their memory for the rest of her life. But their sacrifice had purchased something precious, respect. Tell Admiral Harrison that I accept his offer, Sarah said. But I have conditions. What conditions, Commander? Sarah turned away from the window, her eyes hard with determination. Human colonies will never again be left defenseless. Our military will be strong enough to protect our people from any threat. And if anyone ever again mistakes human compassion for weakness, they will learn the same lesson the Zephyrians learned. Marcus nodded. I'll transmit your response to Earth Command. As Marcus walked away, Sarah returned to watching the lights of New Terra. Somewhere down there, human children were playing in schools protected by orbital defense platforms. Human families were building homes on land that had been bought with human courage. Human farmers were growing crops in soil that had been defended by human warriors. The galaxy had learned to fear and respect humanity. The age of human weakness was over. The age of human strength had begun. Sarah had kept her promise to the 15,000 people who died on that terrible morning 1 year ago. She had made the galaxy remember that attacking human homes had consequences. She had taught the aliens that humans were not victims or viruses, but equals who would fight for their place among the stars. The Zephyrians had wanted to eliminate a threat. Instead, they had created the greatest military,